Well, aloha, everyone. We are so thrilled to have you here tonight. It's a great conversation that we have during these salons. And tonight, we're going to look at every successful business. You know, we understand that they all depend on one thing, and that is creativity. And here we have a host of people who specialize in creativity in different arenas. So a lot of people take that for granted in ways. And yet, when they understand more about what inspires these amazing artists in their own way with their creativity, and in all businesses through their creativity, we learn new things about ourselves, we learn new things that will improve our businesses, and each of them, their stories tell us so much that we can learn from and drive our own businesses. So, this is going to be, I think, for many of you, a very unforgettable experience. Because as you learn more about these companies, I think you're going to remember their stories for years. That's what this salon does. We get to know these individuals in a deeper way. Creative professionals help transform ideas into emotion, businesses into brands, and moments into spectacular memories. Tonight, we are fortunate to hear from these three remarkable entrepreneurs who have each built successful businesses through creativity, but also in very different ways. They've learned how to balance inspiration with deadlines. I wish I could get better at that. I think we all wish we could get better at that. Art with business, and vision with reality. So tonight we're going to explore not only what they create, but how they think, where their ideas come from, how they overcome creative challenges, and what all of us, even if we don't consider ourselves creative, can learn from their journeys. So let's begin with our first video.
In our business, creativity it's problem solving. We're working with clients and it's about their business, understanding what their challenges are, taking every bit of information into consideration and then coming up with a solution. My name is Saedene Otta. I'm a brand strategist, graphic designer, business owner. We create visual stories for companies and organizations, everywhere from logos to websites. But we've been very, very fortunate to have been around for about 30 years. Very honored and privileged to be around that long. If I'm going to do a business card or do graphic design or an identity for a Hawaii company or even a Maui company, it's easy. The shape of Maui, it's a palm tree, it's a whale. No, but it's not that at all. It's like having a understanding of the different types of nationalities and cultures we have here, the history of Maui and Hawaii, where we've evolved and become. So it takes a lot of that as well. It's very helpful for us to have that deeper understanding to help our companies grow their story. So this is a pitch to all creative industries, whether you're an illustrator or photographer, videographer, writer, designer, that businesses understand that there's value in what we do, that you can get away with so much in doing it on your own. And everyone has creativity within them and they know their business best. But at some point, if they do want to get to that next level, their business is, on the cusp of growing, to not be afraid to build a partnership with a professional, not just myself, but any graphic designer, anyone on Maui. And there's a ton of creative people here on Maui. So support the creative businesses that we have here.
Say, as she said, has been around for 30 years, and it's been amazing. How many of you, by show of hands, recognize those amazing brands, right? Probably you've all seen something. And through that, she's helping these businesses grow, succeed, and creating that legacy for them, creating that image that everybody remembers, which is so special. All right, let's go to our next video.
Creativity is an expression of all the little genius ideas that lie within us. People often think creativity is like being artistic, art is its own thing, but creativity can be expressed in ways that we approach one another, share our ideas and our urges and our inspirations with the world and with one another. My name is Amanda Robson. I am the creative director and founder of Feast Productions. We produce events, and also I do a lot of storytelling in the form of photo shoots, branding, marketing, and media. At the heart of Feast is definitely a focus on sustainability, primarily with chefs who support local farmers. Floral designers that I work with are oftentimes also florist farmers growing locally and ethically. After high school, I left to the mainland and was just very hungry and thirsty for the creative arts. And then when we had Koa, my son, we moved home. After our first year here and really getting reacclimated to the island and the people and seeing just how many amazing, talented artists there were and dedicated farmers, I was just blown away by what had happened since I had been here, or how my eyes had been open to how much talent was on the island. I sat down with a girlfriend, Sarah Tequila, and we were just gosh, I was it would be so cool to have some sort of pop-up events where we're eating beautiful food and showcasing artists. And then I just started with experimental first feast, and people seemed so into it. Every feast event, usually, whether it's for the community or if it's a private hire, I find, what is at the nucleus of what the story is, and that kind of drives the creative, then whose expression aligns well with that particular subject or theme. I reach out and let them have a very strong sense of what the creative is, and then let them run with that. That's where the magic really happens, by making sure everyone understands what the cohesive concept is, but then giving them the freedom to what would you do with that? From the moment the guest arrives till they leave, I just want it to be a really safe space where time sort of slows and we can tap into our own creativity and be inspired by, one another, the other artists, so that we can give space and airtime to our own creativity.
I heard somebody say, wow. I think we were all feeling that. I mean, the integration of food artistry with floral artistry with special places and creating amazing memories, and for people to look at all those things and I'm getting idea after idea after idea just from the short video of, wow, what would that be like? How would I try and integrate more of these elements in my life? Very special. So thank you. Aren't these amazing videos? We have to thank the Akakū team because they help produce these amazing videos for these forums. Okay, so now we're going to see Trevor's video.
I think you're most happiest when time disappears and you're in a project. Maybe you didn't even know you were doing it, but you were doing it. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I was really focused for a minute. Yeah, it's like people get into a creative zone. That's what the place is all about. My name is Trevor Arnholt, and I own the Fuzz Box.
1, 2, 3, go! Brought to you live from the kitchen sink. Pots, pans, dishes.
A Fuzz Box is a state of mind. I've had this particular state of mind in many forms all throughout my life. The closest thing that I could say that the Fuzz Box is kind of a place where I can go to create. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and 17 years old, went straight to Columbia College in Chicago to go to film school. And at film school, my mind was completely opened up to all forms of creativity, people that are very creative, photographers, dancers, filmmakers, musicians, actors. And so I would go meet with these people and invite them over to my house. It was always like where I was living was a creative zone. And after 10 years in Chicago, I moved out here. It was like a weird time. What was cool about that time is Tobin was the one that said to me, fuzz is a state of mind because you got to create where you can. And that out of that not having a fuzz is when Art Mix happened. We wanted to create this free event for people on Maui to come to, and we knew a lot of creative people. So we didn't even have a fuzz when we did the first couple Art Mixes, which was pretty exciting. In 2015, we got this place. We were so gung-ho on building a studio, a recording studio. We've been here now going on 11 years. It's become more than just a jam place. Really neat creative things can happen here. People come and ask me, can I do this here? Can I do that here? And I'm all like, yeah. It's nice to let people create, give people the ability to try something and go with something. It's nice to have a place that has so much inspiration in it. We need that, we need inspirational places.
Wow. The diversity of those inspirational places is phenomenal. And who doesn't just think that's where I'm doing my next party, that's where I'm doing something, right? Gotta get there, gotta move on and do that. That's fantastic. Well, did we all learn something about these three amazing people? All right, well, we're just getting started. Okay, so what I'd like to do is some rapid fire questions. We're gonna start off with some really easy things for you to answer. We'll just go down the line, okay? And you're gonna choose between one of two words. Okay, so are you ready? We'll start with you, Say.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Tea.
Coffee.
I do both. Morning or night creativity?
Ooh, morning.
Morning.
Night into morning.
There we go. Sketchbook or computer?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Same.
Same.
Yeah, it's a combination.
Yeah, there you go. Music or silence?
Oh, music.
Both.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I dig some music a lot.
Yeah, there we go. Favorite place on Maui to find inspiration?
Gosh, good question.
I know, so many to choose
I
from.
think it's my bathroom. That's when all the
There you
answers
go.
happen.
There you
Yeah.
go. Well, a lot of people say in the shower, right? Yeah.
In nature.
In nature. Trevor?
I have so many, but there's places that I go to, like maybe years will pass. Like the Olivine Pools is like a charging spot for me.
Yeah.
I don't go every week,
Right.
but I find when I go there, I come back like, okay, let's go.
Oh, I love that. Okay. One word friends would use to describe you. Usually it's the one that people mention a lot. Yeah. Is there?
Well,
No?
I've had everything from crazy nuts to unicorn.
No, love that. Love that.
I think like bright or light.
Yes, I get that. See that energy, yeah.
One word?
One word.
It can be a long word, 3 syllables.
Pick your favorite word.
Gosh, I don't know. I know a lot of people call me crazy. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I know I say one more thing a lot, and everybody calls me on that. Like, you're doing it again, because they'll be like, one more thing. We got one more thing to do. But yeah, I think it falls into probably just somewhere around crazy, between crazy and like, I don't know. I try to be enthusiastic.
Yep.
I would like for more people to say that word about me.
Well, I see.
Crazy.
Don't we all see enthusiastic? Yeah, so we're getting some reassurance here. Okay. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to ask each of you to finish this sentence. I know I'm in my creative zone when, and I'm going to start with you, Trevor. You know when you're in your creative zone when?
I said in the video, when time stops and I'm focused on something. When I can achieve like where I'm not thinking about time, I'm like very happy. I know I'm being productive.
I love that. How about you, Amanda?
Sorry, can you repeat
I
that?
know I'm in my creative zone when?
When the ideas kind of like flood in together, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're getting a download?
yeah, like various ideas of different things are like coming in at the same time. Then I'm like, okay, like this is a path I need to pay attention to.
Time to pay attention. Yeah, I get that too. How about you, Sadine?
I think it's similar to Trevor, a sense of timelessness. Like, I don't know what time it is and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, it could be 3 in the morning or 6 in the morning or noon, but the time is going by so fast that it's because you're in that zone. So you have
Yeah.
no sense of it.
Yeah. That's I love that. Okay. Do your best ideas arrive when you're working or somewhere completely unexpected? So I'll start with you, Say.
Probably unexpected. And I think the irony is because you take advantage of what you have here at home, which is so special. So a lot of the ideas happen when I travel and then I come back. So, yeah.
And how about you, Amanda?
Yeah, the ideas usually don't come when I'm sitting and focusing on work. And then like I'll keep track of that, but then I do need to sit down and have quiet and like really like for the ideas to flesh out.
Yeah.
It usually requires some sort of like peaceful space to be in.
Yeah, to fully explore it.
Yeah.
Flow. Yeah. And Trevor?
You know, I think that the ideas thrive when there's a challenge. Sometimes when there's a restriction, or if somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, I need help with this," it's like easier for me to be more creative because I can like see what maybe they could use or do or try. I find if it's just open, sometimes I get writer's block, if you will. But when there's like a challenge or like we can only do these things, we do these 4-day film challenges, and there's always like these like things you have to incorporate or you have to do. And I see kids struggle, but I sometimes think it's the best thing for you because if you have a challenge to kind of get around, there's this like beautiful feeling of like accomplishing when you get through that. So sometimes I would say that that's kind of how ideas come to me. If there's a little bit of a thing to get past.
Yeah. Oh, I love the creativity in that, right? The strategy, you've got to figure it out, and then you're like, woo, we did it.
Yeah.
We met the deadline. I love that. So speaking of that, I'll start with you, Trevor. What does that physically feel like when you've got that creativity flow? And how does that feel? You know, you mentioned sometimes there's stress, there's a little bit going on.
There's definitely a reward, especially when you accomplish something and it turns out, you know, better than you hoped or different than you kind of first planned. It feels great. You know, is like you start to draw or you start to like come up with a concept for an idea, and then you see how many changes you went through, and then to look at it at the end, whether it's a single solo mission or a group. I like working with groups because everybody shares in. Kind of learned that in film school. It's kind of like going camping. You got strengths and weaknesses. You're kind of smashed together. What are we gonna do? No duct tape. Got to make it happen. And somebody will surprise you. And to me, that is the coolest thing ever. Is because everybody's like, yeah, they get jazzed on it, and you can like all share in that.
Love that. How about you, Amanda? How does it feel when you're getting it done, when you come to the end of that process and
Like coming to the end of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole process is really exciting. Like in my work, it's so diverse, like what the creative projects are. So like having the pieces go from like being in my head and all the different elements to like seeing how it actually fits and like what the story is at the end is always like, wow, like this is either how I envisioned it or even better.
Yeah.
So excitement.
Excitement.
Yeah.
And for you, Sid?
I guess, for lack of a better word, somewhat of a high, I guess. Like you just kind of elevated and you feel complete. And it happens when I know that a client is really happy. Yeah. Like they're really, really happy with the logo or the product or the solution that we came up with. And then it makes me feel good that they're satisfied with the work that we do.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's so awesome. Right? All of us are about service. And right, and trying to help others. And I think, like you said, it gives you a high when you're knowing you're making a difference. You're helping somebody, you've helped them accomplish their goal and their dream. Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Say, when you're designing a brand, how do you create something that not only reflects who a business is today, but who they might grow into decades from now?
That's a good question. So when we create and develop brands, a lot of it has to do with research, understanding the client, their story, their history, how their business came about, what's meaningful to them. We talk about the external brand, which is for the consumer, and then the internal brand, which is themselves and what they believe in and why they're doing the work that they do. So really trying to bring that out. Most times clients, they have it in their head somewhere and they have bits and pieces, but it's our job to kind of put it all together in that story. And it's also, we live in a society of competition. So I often tell my clients, small businesses, large businesses, that you need to look at what's out there and you can't be repeating something that already exists. There's competition. So you need to find your story, your voice, what makes you different than your neighbor or whoever it is. So much of it is strategy, research, and understanding where they want to be in 5 years, 10 years. Do they want to sell their business? Do they want to pass it on to the next generation? So all of that comes into play when we develop brands.
And it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
And that's why you need to see a professional, right? Especially, you mentioned there's lots of professionals, but obviously you have a tremendous history in doing this. But it is bringing that all out in them, because I don't do it at this level, but working with small businesses, their vision is getting started. Their vision is sort of short term, but having to get them to extrapolate into what does this look like down the road? Where do you ultimately want to be?
And when you have a small business, you're just making your product. You're doing payroll, you're doing the hard work. And so you don't really have time to self-analyze yourself and your brand and where you want to be. So,
No, it's fantastic. Okay, so let's see. Let me check. I have a different order here, so I want to go to Amanda next, since we're going in order. Amanda, as we look at everything you do, you don't simply plan events. You design experiences, right? You're transforming people's lives through your experiences. Tell us about an event that you created that was beautiful and just transformational in many different ways for either you or your clients, that just simply made it unforgettable.
What comes to mind is a few years ago, I was fortunate enough to do a community feast at Noho'ana Farms with Hokuao and his ohana. And he is they grow kalo and they've restored a number of lo'i, and he's been a huge part of restoring stream flow to many other rivers, Y-side. And so, we've been friends for a while, and I got this spark that, we should do a community feast here so that, more people can know about why what you're doing is important. Because I understood the moment I stepped foot on his land and he said, these walls, are 400 years old. The rocks that we're touching, and I was just thinking oh my gosh, this is this is such a big deal, what you're preserving here, you know? And so being able to hold a feast and bring community members, some of whom probably like didn't even know what like ahupua'a is, or, you know, and for them to, like all different walks of life on the island, to come and hear his story and be able to experience what it felt like to be amongst the work that he's done, the beautiful, you know, lo'ikalo, and hearing the water that's been restored streaming through. And so many people left caring so much more about Aina, just from that experience. So that really, that really like kind of turned something on for me, realizing how powerful it is when you can welcome people to a space and really be able to have them connect to the story of that space and the people who are holding that space.
Yeah, that is a beautiful and a very transformational story, and it sounds like for everybody as well as you.
Yeah.
It changed
all
you.
of us.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thanks.
So Trevor, you don't just make videos, you create experience as well. You create stories. You're infusing fun. So what makes the difference between someone who's simply watching the film and someone who's actually feeling something?
I think I'm going to answer this. I think how you're asking. I like to live and play. I like to blur the lines between work and play. And I try to get other people hip on that. And some people are a little stubborn. But when they get it, it's pretty cool. And they kind of fall into a different way. I can say that through the past few years of what has happened in the world with, you know, we had the COVID and then the fires and things, that I really shifted what I wanted to do, how I wanted to be involved in things. And I really like doing community events. And it's so much more rewarding by doing things that have more of an impact, where a lot of my friends now have kids. And so being Uncle Fuzz is very rewarding. And so to do events where they come and they're a part of these events, they're interactive events. And you can nudge them to be like, you know, play, you know, your kid's playing, you should play too. Like, go ahead, like go pick up that instrument or go draw or do whatever. For me, that's so important right now for all of us to know that you shouldn't have to be like held back from doing that. And we need it. Maui really needs it. I think that a lot of us here, when they come along with us on something like that, it's very rewarding to see so many people like get into the fun of it, if you will. Still a lot of work, but for the people that come and play with us, it's very cool to see them open up. Yeah. And I get so many people that come back that are like, that was really cool. Like, we used to do movies in the park, in Kemple Park, and there was a local guy that came up, and I thought he was gonna like be yelling at me or something, and he came up real close to me, and I'm like, oh no, okay, like he's gonna squish me. And he's like, is this your thing? And we had the movie set up, and it was just a free thing. It was just like, we're just gonna put a free movie up, let people come and watch a movie. Yeah. And he's like, is this your thing? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you see all those kids up there? He's like pointing at like 20 kids front row watching the movie. And he's like, those are all my nephews and nieces and everything. Doing a good thing. And I was like, right on. Want some popcorn? And so like got him and all his kids popcorn. And there was just that like that feeling of like somebody saw it and was like, cool, keep that up. And I just want to like try to get everybody else to do that kind of vibe, because, you know, if everybody's like, if I could do free events all the time, I would, because it's nice to have it be open to anybody. You know, it takes a minute to get to explain to people like fun doesn't cost money. It doesn't have to cost money. And when you can give somebody an event that they walk away from like, that was free, that was amazing. Yeah, that's kind of what I like to do.
I also like that you said, you know, many times in these kinds of experiences, somebody will say, well, go try it. Mm-hmm. And adults often don't want to try it because they feel embarrassed. What if I'm not good at it? But to say, just go play. Yeah. Right? We've all had that experience of playing. So I really like that about that. Okay, so I'm going to go through some other questions. We're going to go down the line. I'm going to start with you, Say. What was the moment you realized I might actually be able to make a living doing what I love?
It hasn't happened yet.
Okay, well, we're all gonna
I'm
work
working on it. No. Let's see. I guess so. When I moved back to Maui from Chicago, I worked there for about 3 years, and I was very young, and it was my first job, and I was living in the city and spending all of my money and going to bars and having too much fun. So when I came back home, I realized I need to settle down, get my stuff together. And I started freelancing first, and fortunately, because I was raised on Maui, family, friends, friend of a friend. My husband now, at that time, boyfriend, he said, my cousin works at this hotel, meet him, maybe he can introduce. So slowly, I started to network and started little jobs, getting paid very little. And eventually, it came to the point where I was so busy I needed help. And that's when I realized, this is a real business. And I was, at that time, sleeping at my mom's home on the floor with my computer right there. So I'm like, okay, I actually can make some money doing this. And from working at other places, I learned about billables, I learned about to run the business. And I think maybe after a little bit of time, and I was able to buy my first car, a used car, I was like, okay, yeah, I think I can do this. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you're doing graphic design in Chicago as well?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Is that what you went to school for that?
I went to school in Pasadena,
Okay.
in design, and then I was recruited for a job in Chicago, and I lived there for 3 years.
Wow, fantastic. What a great experience.
Fun.
Okay, same question for you, Amanda. So what was that moment where you realized I might actually be able to make a living doing this? Well, doing what you love, which clearly you love doing what you do. So.
Yeah, I mean, so the very first time I held a community feast, which was like 9 years ago, I had no idea how the community was going to respond or accept it. Yeah. But it sold out, I think, within the first few days of our promotion. Wow. And that continued to happen. My first year that I did them, I tried to do them once a month, and then I went to seasonally, so every 3 months or so. Uh-huh. But as soon as I did the first one and I saw how thirsty and hungry people, the community was to have an event that was curated in a way that normally the aesthetic would be probably for a private client, which would probably be a visitor or a brand. Yeah. But that was the level of aesthetic that I wanted to create for locals, for us to be able to attend a beautiful event that had beautiful, ethically grown food. And so I threw that out there, and it was people were so hungry for it. So then I was like, okay, we have a working concept.
Love that. Well, and everything it does feel so elevated and so special, and not, well, I don't know about anybody else, but I was sitting there going, I haven't seen anything like this.
Yeah, so, and it's tricky, because we were talking about it, it is a business. And so because I have a background in production and entertainment, which is storytelling visually, the collabs that I work with, in order for us to sell the tickets at a price that isn't too outrageous, there's an exchange and a deliverable that I give, which is, storytelling and putting them in a beautiful light. So it's creative also in the way that we make it work, financially.
I love that. And how about you, Trevor? That special moment where it hits you.
It's pretty exciting to see so many people that I've gotten to know out here, and through what we do, see them be successful. Mm-hmm. I think that is the best part for me, is to see people thrive on what they do really well, and to find people oh my gosh, she's really good. Let's see if she wants to be a part of what we're going to do. That's always such a reward for me to have friends, people I know they're talented, or if I just met them, being able to work with them. And that, I guess, is how I knew, like, oh, wow, I could maybe make what I love to do work. The thing that happened most recently, I think, which was not at all that I thought was going to be something that I was ready for, was to teach. So I started teaching, I guess, what I know creatively, whether it's music or film. We started doing Fuzz Film Camp and working with Hisako Film Labs. And that's been cool because I can go to someone that I know they do great camera work, or they create really cool props or costumes, and I can be like, come teach. And they're like, I don't know how to teach. And I'm like, me neither, but let's do it. And then they're like, that was really cool. I want to do it next time. And I really want to try to make my lecture better. Like they want to like teaching becomes kind of this thing where you're like giving somebody something they've never really seen before, or maybe they have, but they didn't know how to do it, or they never got to try it before. So that has been the biggest, I think, like, oh wow, I could do it moment, is not only myself, but other people that I know, and saying, hey, I can pay you to teach and teach what you love. And that's really the coolest part, is like, if you love something, you can probably teach it, and you just got to try it. Yeah. So I think the more people realize that they take what they love a lot, what they love to do, and they just tried teaching it to somebody, like you'll get that feeling.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And to see the kids light up as they're being taught, and to know you're making a difference.
That's also super cool.
Yeah.
I can't beat that. Yeah.
It's hard to beat that. Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Trevor, on the next question. What has been the biggest lesson that you learned, not creative lesson, but business lesson?
Oh man. I mean, I've been trying so hard to get this time machine to work so I can stop time or go back. I mean, I really think timing is the hugest lesson, is to prepare and pace yourself. I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but it's definitely one of those things where if you're doing a project, you guys probably know, you need to know what you can take on. And I have this, and you can ask anybody that knows me, that I take on way too much. And I'm trying to get better at like being like, okay, I know I can accomplish this. It's okay to say I want to get to this level, but you want to know what you can accomplish. And I think that that's like a timing thing.
Yeah. How about you, Amanda?
Business-wise, so one of the things I think that has been really challenging as an entrepreneur, like kind of carving my own path, was like pay scale, and figuring out like the metrics of like, what is my role worth? And that took definitely a little while. Like you can Google, like, what do event planners make? What do wedding planners make? Okay, like, or where am I based on my experience? But over time, it was kind of trial and error, and being like, okay, I charged this much. That definitely wasn't enough based on how many emails I spent and all the site visits and, and then there's also where I would go on the other end and be like, ooh, like, a number of people have been really interested, and then that was too high. Right. So it is a lot of, like, for me, it was really like, okay, well, what do I think I need to make in order for this to be worth my time? And then once that line is decided, then you're being very transparent to the client about, this is what the florist costs, this is what the venue, instead of like packaging, which is interesting because there's so many different ways to present financials to a client. But it was like, this is my fee, and then this is what everything that you said you want costs. Yeah. So if they want to take anything away, take it away. But like, this is, my fee. Yeah. And then also in my work, for the community events, we're always kind of having to not do like top retail, costs for our services in order to bring the tickets to a place that's, reasonable. But I try my best to never have farmers get less than their retail.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of the farmers in our community, we really appreciate that because we know how very hard farming is to do, and they need that kind of help, which is awesome. But I love that you said that because I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I've worked with, especially small startups, where they'll say, come on in, my husband says I'm not making money, I should have continued babysitting and not started my own business, and they'll spend an hour showing me every expense, but they forgot to value their time. Right? So they think what they're breaking even on the expenses, but they're like making less money because they stopped babysitting and they were bringing in hundreds of dollars a month, right? And they didn't value their time. So that's so critical. And also the way that you're looking at it, immediately when you said, well, here's my time, here's all the other things, but I love that they get the choices, they get the decision. How elegant or elevated do they want it to be, but they still want to work with you, but they don't have the money, they can scale down. And that's really important and great in the marketplace to have such diversity. For you, Say, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned?
Pretty simple and quite fundamental. But when I was starting out as a young designer, I was very trusting. And I'd do anything, friend's family, friend of a friend, on a handshake. And I've learned quickly that you need to really set expectations because people will take advantage of you and sign a contract. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's a business and you need to kind of really be specific about what the deliverables are and sign a contract. Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. And sadly, we see a lot of people who unfortunately don't do that, especially small startups, and there are better tools online, but a good attorney is really helpful. As you really and contract. The other thing is contracts change over time, and trying to get people to understand, you need to keep updating your contracts, especially as you add new services or your timing for the deliverables changes or the pricing changes. So it's important to keep those updated. Okay, so let's go back with you. Say, what do clients value today that they didn't value 10 years ago with your services?
When I first started out, or even 10 years ago, I think the field of graphic design was kind of squishy and gray, and people didn't really I can design a logo, I can, find something, cut it out, paste it, and that's a logo, put my name on it. But because it's, there's so many businesses out there, it's way more competitive. The term branding is probably common now, and people understand the value of it. So I think that's been a big shift in our industry, that people understand that there's an importance to it, and it's not just a logo. It's about your message, what your company stands for, and how it can branch into all these different ways of marketing and social media and so on and so forth. So I think that's evolved quite a bit. It's evolved tremendously since I first started. And so I have high hopes that it'll just get even better.
Yeah. And as they're growing, their brand is changing, and they have to keep their message, especially now with social media. I mean, you look back at some of the stuff that was done in the early days, right? And,
it's very different.
Now you're seeing elevated brands and consistent messaging that used to be really random. Anything people wanted to talk about and share was shared. So Amanda, same question. What do your clients value today that maybe they didn't value the same way 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think on the subject of social media, that it's not always money that is the exchange now. The value in cross promotion and helping to get another brand or. And I guess I'm speaking to more the community fees, so my community work, as far as collaborations are involved. At some point it was to do ads, you purchase ad space, and that was, the strategy. But nowadays it's if you want to have an exchange of time and energy to a brand, that will be a metric that's very valuable to them, because sometimes, certain social media cross promo can be, really valuable.
Absolutely. And we're seeing,
to business growth.
Right? Unfortunately, a lot of people started off with, I love the collaboration point, right? Because a lot of people were saying, I see the value in this, but they're trying to influence influencers or give in free thing and just work with influencers without working, in their local community, working with their partners. And we're seeing exchanges elevated in that way these days,
Yeah.
which I really love.
And
Still, people still hire influencers, but
Yeah. Well, and if you're, if you are starting out, it's like you think, okay, how do I, use my budget for,
Yes.
promo? And my, advice is often, your time collaborating and reaching out to other brands or other artists, like sometimes it's that's going to be the value that you expand as far as your marketing goes.
Yeah, love that. Same question, Trevor.
Experience. I think that I've had a lot more experience than 10 years ago. I think I was very young and not knowing how to work with people. I definitely think that now that I've had so many things that I can say that we've accomplished or that I've accomplished, that I think that there's working with people and you've grown kind of as someone that's done things now. So you can, whatever it is, if a band wants to record an album, I can put them with the right engineer. If somebody wants to come in and they want to do something at the space, I have more insight. And I think that is such a difference now to kind of already have a little bit more knowledge to say, oh, well, let's try this, or we could try this, and to have a lot of that already experience of what didn't work and being able to let's do this and get past that so that, kind of get them to hand them something better quality, I guess. To skip past all the trial and error. So experience is definitely more in my wheelhouse now as far as people want to try something. I'm like, that's not going to work. Let's do this. And people are like, okay, yeah. And get them past the headaches of things.
Saves a lot of time and headaches.
It does. And same with everything that they said with the social media. It's very interesting now. It's different markets with all the different creative things. As a creative business person, you have to really think how to market things. It's a jungle out there. So getting someone that's creative that can help you, or be bold and be creative yourself, because it can be something simple, but if it catches somebody's eye and they were like, that's cool, then it's neat to see people I'll say this real quick. This is something that a lot of people have talked. I'm not going to talk about AI all night, but when photography came out, all the realists were left well, what are we going to do now? Paintings that look real. Right. Then it spawned abstract and surrealism. And I'm waiting for those new artists now to take AI and do something that AI can't, or take it onto a different level. And that's going back to social media and how you mix art with your business, and how you can change. Because everybody's bragging on it, it's messing up everything. At the film fest we just did, a lot of people were really down on AI, and I can see their point. Some people are it's cheating. The computer's doing all the work. But then I've seen people that have blown my mind, and they're still using their creativeness, but they're doing it at a whole different level. Yeah. And that's change. Welcome change. So I think that 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have got that, where now I'm all about change. Like I was saying about challenges, it's sometimes challenges really push you to create the best thing you've ever made.
Yeah.
That's how I've been looking at it.
I think it's true. And to me, at this point, I'll include AI in it, because there's many things AI can do that really leverages things in a different way. But just in general, the way technology is changing and broadband's changing, it's not if anymore, if we want to do it. It's how quickly can we adopt, because it's changing. The tools are changing every week. There's new packages, there's new elements, there's new price points, and it's amazing to see. And the other thing for me that it does is we're bringing youth in a way, to help them expand their creativity, because they're loving this stuff. They're trying to push boundaries, and it's pretty amazing. So I'm glad you touched on that point. Okay, so this is a question that we'll have for each of you, but I'm going to start with you, Trevor. And what is uniquely Maui about the approach you use when you work.
Like I said, I really like being with community.
Yeah.
It was very different when I moved out here from where I was coming from, Cleveland, Chicago, Los Angeles. I wanted to be in a smaller place that I could connect with more people. Mm-hmm. And Maui's perfect. I thought after the fire, that was like my sign to leave, being West Side. And so many people that had been hiding out through COVID, and by reuniting, I should say, with people, and so many people that cared. And I was like, oh, I still got work to do here, you know? So I definitely feel that I'm more invested in community now, and like I try things that affect community or grow community, I think. So there's my answer.
Wonderful answer.
Beautiful.
It's a very wonderful answer. How about you, Amanda?
Yeah, you know, I think being, you know, it's such a privilege to live in Hawaii and on Maui. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when, as a creator or as a creator, as a business owner, you know, I can't help but feel that there is an aspect of, you know, my dues that I pay mm-hmm. to have this privilege to live in this beautiful place and amongst this incredible community. Yeah. So in a way, there's, and I know like that's how a lot of our, you know, fellow community members feel as well. Like the local culture is ingrained in us mm-hmm. that, you know, if I take on a client, it's like all the relationships that I've built, like they're not just my work people, like right. they're my friends. Yeah. I know like their kids. I know, you know, what's important to them. And so, you know, sometimes if I'm like, oh, I don't know if I align completely with this client, but then I'm like, oh, you know, like this is gonna not just be, you know, an income source for me, but they're gonna need flowers, they're gonna right. need this, and you know, can I get through, you know, maybe like the non-idealness of the client, yeah. because every time I say yes, it's not just for my business, right. it's like all of my partners.
The trickle down effect to everybody that you're helping and they're helping you.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's how, like we're on an island together. So it's, you know, as much as possible, I'm always sourcing local, you know, because why am I going to bring like flowers from the mainland? Mm-hmm. You know, when all those that money can go towards, you know, farmers. And so
yeah. And on that note, I just want to notice these beautiful leis that we received, and we're not wearing orchid leis that were imported. I just want to mention that today on that note, right? Yeah. We
Very well pointed out.
We hear a lot of things about that at the Chamber, I promise you.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah, because we want to support, you know, we want to support local flower growers, and we want to. Well, the Maui Chamber of Commerce is really big on buy local, buy right. Maui first. So that's one of our tenements.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So for you, Say, what are you thinking in this way about how Maui impacts your approach in your work?
Yeah, I don't know if it's Maui specifically or just Hawaii in general, but maybe mm-hmm. Maui too. But I think it's a sense of responsibility, really. Mm-hmm. Amanda touched upon it, that it's a very small community, and you know, I'm not perfect. I probably made some mistakes, burned some bridges, but it does come back to mm-hmm. you, and whether it was intentional or non-intentional, it's allowed me to grow mm-hmm. and become hopefully a better designer for my clients, and an honest one, mm-hmm. Where I know that if they succeed, then they're going to help other people. They're going to help their family. And so it's, you know, whether it's a small client, a nonprofit, especially nonprofits, or even a large corporation, there's, I think, a higher sense of responsibility to make sure that we're doing our best. Yes. To make sure that they succeed as well too, because they're so close to each other.
Yeah. And you know what I love is everybody makes mistakes, and, right? Yeah. We all do. But how many people will say that I made mistakes along the way? right? It's sort of like when we're building our portfolio, although that didn't happen over there, but, right? But it's those things that do happen that take us to a higher place. And I really love that. Okay, so what local collaboration have you say that inspired you the most? What local collaboration for some of the work that you've done really inspired you the most?
So it wasn't a client. I think it was, I sat on the NVMC board, Nisei Veterans Memorial Center, and we were doing a strategic planning session. And like many aging nonprofits, they struggle with the mission and how to ignite, inspire the next generation, the youth. The story happened, years ago, and it's starting not to be relevant to that fifth or sixth generation. And the Nisei vets have such a storied past and history, and their values are extremely strong. And that's the thing that they wanted to make sure that gets instilled and passed on to the next generation. So we did a brainstorming session and, about a tagline. And but eventually, I said, well, you think at a higher level, there's these values that everyone tries to instill, like trust, honesty, whatever it was. But in the end, it's finding the hero within yourself. So for the Nisei vets, that's what they did. They didn't want to be heroes, but they ended up being heroes. And that's the story, or that's the message that we wanted to send to that next generation. You're not a hero, but just find the hero within yourself to do good for the community, to be honest, to take care of your family or whatever it is. So that's like one, experience that was really
One
strong.
really deep messaging. And we've all been in sessions where we're trying to come up with a slogan or a vision or what have you. What a powerful thing to actually get to. And that then transforms that, it just takes care of that generational gap, right?
And it helps with programming.
Absolutely.
It helps with how they do their website. It helps how they do their, everything. I mean, it's now they have something to work towards, inspiring the hero in everyone.
Yeah, that's a legacy gift. That doesn't end. Right?
Yeah.
That work doesn't end. Wow, really amazing. Okay. So I had to go back and look at my question because I just had one of those moments. So the question, sorry, is...
I didn't remember it either. So.
I was like, woo, okay.
Please do restate it.
What local collaboration has inspired you the most?
Oh, yeah, okay. I have a hard time picking one just because I work with so many magic makers. Like every project that I'm involved in. So, one that maybe comes forward is, again, like working with Hokua Pellegrino at Noho'ana. And I think what was awakened in me from that collaboration is, the importance of, Hawaii has a beautiful, thriving indigenous peoples here.
Absolutely.
And it's a very big deal, and so as a creative, I can go down all these different paths that are connected to nature and Aina, but it really, it awakened the realization that any opportunity I can when I'm doing something creative, if I can weave in something that is connected to Hawaiian culture, that's really important.
Yeah, it is really important, and it keeps us grounded in our space, right, and our culture, and I love that because your experiences take me back, even though they're elevated in ways that are so spectacular, that you ground that, in our Aina and our culture. And everybody experiences that in a new and unique way. One, being stunned by the experience, but two, getting the depth of how it's rooted.
Yeah,
in
the-
everything we do here in a unique way.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that is like, there's elegance that's kind of like sparkly and, pristine, but I really do think with feasts and what I try and focus on is like the elegance is in, the integrity of, how much love and how much intention is going into each detail that's provided from all of our partners. So, yeah, it's really funny because the first time I had the event at Hookwell's farm, the bathroom wasn't constructed yet. And so at some point when we had started planning, and he was like, okay, well, we got to get porta potties. And I was like, oh, maybe we wait then. Because like feast is like, I'm like at the Four Seasons and at Haiku Mill. And then I wanted to do it. And he really put me in my place. And he was like, what we are doing here is so much more important than the porta potty.
That's
and I was like,
Okay.
sorry. Like just my production mind was like, oh my God, like who's gonna watch it? How's it gonna stay clean? And it was like, that doesn't matter. Okay.
Don't film over there. Yeah.
I was like, thank you. Like
hear you,
you
though.
humbled me,
Yeah.
but it's like the different brains that are going on, your creative, is so, like seeing everything, but then like remembering like this place we need to keep acknowledging what our host culture that we're so blessed to be influenced by, and the land is so what it is because of them. So just anytime that we can to find a way to incorporate a little bit of a acknowledgement or awareness. So
Very important. Well, it kind of takes me back to the hukilau, right, where everybody came together and brought what they knew how to do all together for a major feast, right, and celebration. It kind of takes me back to that. Trevor, what is that inspirational moment that's really changed you?
I've seen really beautiful things here, and been a part of them or just attended and saw like strong people that were organizers or leaders. To be around it or a part of it has been very cool to meet people, because it takes a while to kind of get in or accepted, if you will, from coming from the mainland. I saw such a surge of inspiration in so many people on the West Side after the fire.
Yeah.
And I hate to keep talking about it, but it was one of those moments where it was like, oh, we all got to do something. And so many people did. And it's not so much on your question, but it made so many connections for me after, where I was like, I got to do something. I have to do something.
Yeah.
So it inspired me to want to do something. And I'm not a house builder or, So by jumping in and meeting some of these people that just, out of their hearts were like, we got to do it. Like, I remember I had parked my car and it was out of the fire zone, and we went back to pick it up. And there was a guy that was like trying to hand me a watermelon, and I was like, I'm good, man. Like I'm covered in soot and it's 2 days after, and I'm like, I'm just getting out of here. And he was like, you take this watermelon. And I was like, okay, man. And all that after was just, you saw so many people that wanted to help each other. So I was really just like moved to just want to do whatever I could to trying to get in with that, I guess. So once again, like I said, after really wanted to just start doing more community things, doing a lot of like keiki classes and everything from break dancing to filmmaking to music classes, and opening up the Fuzz to have people that has a space to do something, and being on the West Side. After the fire, our building didn't burn down, but it was damaged, took a long time to rebuild. And there was a part of me that felt so weird after, because people were like, oh, it's still there, and I was like, I feel so strange because everybody lost so much. And but a few months later, I understood what people were trying to say to me, like, you got to tell people, because this is a spot that people want to come to, or they should come to. So that was a really neat moment to have people that are like, no, you got to open back up and keep doing what you're doing. So I felt kind of like a part of the community then, and it was like, then it became easy. It was just like, oh yeah, just come on over, let's do stuff. So we do as much as we can, kind of like film clubs and chess clubs and things like that. So trying how I can to they're building a charter school right next to us, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm hoping that we can become their like whole art department or music department.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that would be such a great thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
But I love that, and we've seen this right through after the wildfires, and so many people have felt that, right? That, I've heard from so many who said, I don't even know how my house survived when my neighbor's house, the houses around me didn't, and to feel that deep concern and just, that sort of survivor's guilt, knowing. But then to have somebody say to you, no, tell people because we need you. You're here. And
took
we
me a
need
minute
you to
to
take that mental burden,
process
help
that,
us
yeah.
with that. Yeah. So that's so remarkable. Okay, I'm having a hard time, but I know we started a little bit late too. So I think I'm going to take this opportunity. It looks like 7:20. Okay, thank you. So what I'd like to do is, we don't have a mic to pass around. So if you have a question for any of our panelists, please stand up, ask your question. I'm going to repeat the question on the mic so that it gets recorded in the recording. So does anybody have a question for our panelists? Don't be shy. Oh, please share your observation. I'm going to give you this mic so you can share it.
Okay. Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
I just want to share how impressed I am with what all of you are bringing to the table, all of you. And you're the face of your enterprises. And none of these enterprises would be the same without you. It's not possible. The age of things being generic, the gentrification and all of that, where you go into a Walmart and it's the same layout in the next town, that's something that doesn't happen in this zone, and each one of you are building legacy that is so much bigger than who you are. And I just really want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that mean I can't retire?
No, yeah, never. We don't even want to hear that yet. Too young to retire. Any other questions? Anybody? For the record, let me get this in. So, Rick, you've got a creative marketing and design and branding studio, and you've started 5 years ago.
Yeah, around 5. I started before, but as a business, running business, I would say officially it'll be like around 5 years.
Awesome.
Or maybe 6.
And so Sadene's been doing this for 30 years. And with all these new technology tools that are available today and changing rapidly, and people seeing these tools and saying, hey, maybe I could do my own design, how would you look at your services today, and how would you help work with them and educate them on the importance of the work?
Yeah. Technology, you have to embrace it. So when I started, there was a computer, and it's like, but our professors would say it's just a tool, right? Now it's a really powerful tool, and I wish that we embraced web design, technology, services, 20 years ago. We're probably a little bit later than we should have been. But technology is a tool that can help you. When it comes to AI, we're using it as well too. And what it does is it enhances our work so that we're more productive. And it's not gonna go away. I use it for brainstorming sometimes. I may have the original idea, but then I'll plug it in and I say, expand on this idea. And then all of a sudden I have 50 iterations, right? But it's all about the input too, just like any tool. So as long as you're not looking for an easy answer, you'll come up with unique solutions. You just have to have smart inputs, good research, and the tool will work for you. It's just so strong. It's going to make designers better, more powerful. There are services out there like $99 logos or whatever. And that's okay, that's fine, because some businesses can't afford people like us, right? Not yet, anyway. And maybe it's okay just to get them by, but in the future, hopefully they can come to us. So, You know, someone says, I did this for $99. Well, yeah, that's great, but you're not my client, right? You know, that you're not there. You need to work your way up and need to get to those services. So it's okay. Don't be afraid of it. We're shifting as well too as we speak. We're trying to acclimate, but you know.
Do you think there's any downside on this AI thing about graphic design? Because there's so many articles and people talking about it right now.
Let me just, so the question is there any downside to AI, right?
Yeah.
In graphic design?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are so many creative people out there. There's Canva, there's AI, there's Claude. They can do the work. They can do beautiful work. Now, you're not just a visual designer, you're a problem solver. You have to be strategic. Yes, yeah. So at age 50, I went back to school in California. I got my MBA because I needed to be smarter. And it was a design MBA, so it's about product development, design development, and strategy. So we needed to shift, and we needed to not just be beautiful visual designers, but we needed to understand how businesses work. We needed to know how to strategize and do research. So that's what designers are starting to do already, but we're gonna have to do more of that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yes, please stand up and give me your
question.
question.
So I have a question. I'm also a business owner, and I am transitioning from one to a new one.
Okay.
And I'm actually curious in terms of like branding and messaging for Say. So I'm not from here. I'm not born and raised, but as somebody, you know, that's come into this community, how can, you know, what advice do you have or direction do you help your clients with in terms of being like respectful of the culture, like also not, you know, embodying it like it's not my culture but it's my community? Like how do you have the balance? And this is for anybody.
I think
Okay, I was going to say, let me repeat the question, but I think it would be good if all three of you answered that as businesses here in Maui, ne. So the question is, you have a business and you're going to a new business, which is very exciting. Congratulations. And you're looking at branding and marketing and strategy, and you want to infuse our Maui culture in that and are looking for the best ways to do that. So why don't we start with Say, and then we'll go down.
Yeah, I think any good brand is not forced. It needs to feel right. It needs to feel natural. And if you feel like you're, infusing, say, a Hawaiian word or something in your company or brand, and it doesn't feel right or it's not you, I wouldn't do it because it's not you. You may work up to it at some point. You may bring on a partner. You may do more research or learn about, the flora, fauna, whatever you're working on, and then it becomes your brand. But if it's not you, then don't go there. It can't be forced. It can't be forced.
But I also don't want to not talk about the place where we are, you know,
Sure.
and because it is so rich in culture. So I think that's I think I have shied away from using Hawaiian words or phrases or concepts or themes, but also is that not great? I still want to acknowledge that it is part of my lifestyle and it is part of the customer experience as well, this place that we do business in.
So the additional information is that, again, because we live in such a beautiful place and we have such a rich culture, we do want to infuse it, and it's trying to find that balance of how you share that, but also what feels authentic to you and your business. So how about you, Amanda? You want to take a shot at that one?
Yeah. First of all, I think it's really beautiful that you have that desire and reverence to want to, have an acknowledgement of place, because it is so important. And so I think that's beautiful and that you should really honor that. You don't have to be Native Hawaiian to be an ally to advocating Native Hawaiian culture. But if you're going to, like Say said, use a Hawaiian word or a particular native plant, that's also beautiful, but you just need to, maybe someone that is Hawaiian and versed in Hawaiian culture, reach out to them and say, you know, if they speak Olelo Hawaii or if they're, you know, like very educated in that, and say like, teach me, like this is something that I want to be a part of my branding, and I want it to be authentic and proper, you know, and they'll help you. And then that will probably inform not just your logo or your branding, it'll inform how you do business, you know, and you'll have a new relationship.
I think that's an excellent answer. Really, really excellent, because it's, it brings it all together for you, and working with somebody local who, getting their understanding and their depth and the richness, I think will help you in your business.
Yeah, and if you need someone, just text me.
There you go. You made a great contact. Trevor, excuse me. Trevor, you are a treasure. What are your thoughts on that?
I really agree, is that, you know, bounce it off of someone else, see what they say, see if there's like almost a permission way. I've had to adjust things to try it to see if it rubbed anybody wrong. And what I've noticed is by definitely allies, research, finding other people that like approve of it before you go like out with it. Sometimes that really helps. Like for instance, at the Fuzz right now, Uncle Ruben's teaching like ukulele and keyboard. And I have so many people being like, that's so cool, you're doing that now. And I'm like, well, Uncle Ruben's the one doing it. I'm just like opening the doors for him. But I feel like I can like feel like more people are accepting because they want to, they're with that, you know? So like if it's something that you're making, it's your business, what you're doing, you know, by collaborating with people, like kind of what Amanda's doing with like, you know, the food is like, she's pulling in so many other things from the island, and people see that and they're like, they're okay with that. When I first got here, I had no clue. And, you know, I'd go up to top of Haleaka with a trombone and you know, making tons of noise, and people are like, that guy sucks. And I realized I was wrecking someone else's experience on a pogo stick. So I was like, that's probably not cool now. Experience.
Yes.
But you know, the more you kind of, and you know, when you've been here for a while, you know who really you should talk to and who would probably give you, you know, their blessing, if you will. And I feel like that's gold, you know, like to try and allies, you know, or understanding, and you ease into it. You know, I feel like that's the best advice I can give.
All wonderful advice. Well, tonight we've heard about branding and storytelling, film, design, gatherings in a very unique and special way. But underneath all of these things is something really much bigger. We've heard about curiosity and courage, about taking ideas that don't yet exist, having the confidence to bring things into the world. We've listened to these creative people who are helping us to see new possibilities through the work that they're doing and the possibilities they're giving to others. And in doing so, they don't just build their business, they're shaping our community. And their creative services are an important part of Maui's economy. They're also part of our identity and our integrity. And as they help tell our stories, they preserve our culture, they elevate our businesses, and they create experiences that people remember long after these moments have passed. So tonight, please give a round of applause for all of these amazing panels. So grateful, so grateful. I'd be clapping my hands, but then I'd lose the mic. So, you know, they have not only shared what they create, but they're sharing how they think, how they dream, how they continue to make Maui a more vibrant and inspired place. And I just really, again, mahalo to Sadine, Amanda, and Trevor. Mahalo for all you do every day in the world to make Maui a more beautiful place and to help our businesses grow and thrive, and to help all of our industries and support our culture. You are treasures, and we really appreciate you, and thank you for sharing tonight.